Hey everyone, my name is Manny and welcome to Let's Cats. This whole chapter, or rather this whole game was streamed over at twitch.tv/PunkJax, which is where I stream now. But unfortunately the first half or so of this chapter didn't record properly, so I am re-recording it now. But please feel free to follow me over on Twitch if you want to see me when I originally record things. This was recorded back in Christmas, so I'm just going to replay the first half of this chapter pretty much with no commentary, just so I can complete the story. So sorry if there seems to be a little bit of discrepancy between the first half of this and then the second half, but please enjoy. Day 3, 25th December, 1285. I always seem to oversleep on snowy days. The thin gray light coming from the window, half smothered by snow, is barely enough to wake me up. I climbed out of bed, still feeling dizzy. The snow hasn't stopped yet. The tavern was quiet. The sound of chatting and clattering mugs are all absent. The doors in the corridor are shut, even Kane's and Sean's. It's almost enough to make me wonder if last night actually happened. Maybe it was just a nightmare. I walked down the stairs. The lodgers sat in the hall drinking. Silence reigned. Peter, Giannis, and Elegant were sharing a table. Peter was practically trying to drown himself with cider. Giannis took him by the wrist and set the cup down. Benefits of having a huge friend, I guess. Elegant sat by and watched quietly, occasionally took a sip from her drink. Vincel, Solar, and Lunique sat at the counter. The Marquis and the Marquise clothing was even messier than when they walked into the tavern yesterday. Vincel was busy, nervously fiddling with his bow tie and coat. Thrivey, Anzox, and Heron were seated around the fireplace, staring at their mugs without raising their heads. If Thrivey had brought a plague doctor mask, I'm sure he would have been wearing it. Oh, I remember mentioning earlier, he did bring a plague doctor mask. He wears it during the autopsies, but okay. Sarzan was sitting by the stove in the kitchen. The fire wasn't lit. I counted them one by one. There was no sign of Kane and Sean. Ah, you're finally awake. What happened? I walked to the table by the fireplace. You know what happened last night. Right. Anzox came up and whispered in my ear. Peter is taking things pretty poorly. Probably lucky Ionis is by his side. Could you maybe talk to him? Of course. Without Sean, the Marquis and the Marquise are also in a bit of a mess. Looks like they weren't used to getting themselves dressed. Oh, my bad. That was him saying. Why are you telling me this? Sarzan lifted the curtain and came into the hall. Good morning, everyone. I hope the incident last night didn't interrupt your rest here. A bit late for that. As the proprietor of the White Star Tavern and Kane's friend, I'm sorry for what happened here last night. But I can assure you that you have no need to worry about your safety here at the White Star. All of the locks are crafted by professional blacksmiths, and I personally guarantee you that they are safe and solid. And I can assure Detective Roman and I will ensure your safety until the blizzard outside is over. You just decided to volunteer me like that. By the way, Peter suddenly shook off Ionis' hand and stood up. 2 people died and you're telling us Merry fucking Christmas? Sarzan froze. As far as I can recall, he always seemed to deal with all kinds of stuff in a very flexible and quick-witted way that didn't match his appearance. But this time, well... And Kane, he was a regular here. How can you pretend he's a stranger for fuck's sake? Are you that fucking cold-hearted, you... Admittedly, I could understand Sarzan's reaction. Sometimes trying to separate yourself from events and staying professional is the only good option. Ionis grabbed Peter by the shoulders and forced him back into his chair before Sarzan could do anything in response. Pete, for God's sake, sit down and shut up. Yup, totally. He speaks, finally. At any rate, I don't know how long until the snow stops. Let's all just try and stay calm. Sarzan, I'm sorry. I was just scared. The fact that he sounded like Sean didn't sit well with me. What if another It won't, I promise. The blue dragon gently patted Peter's shoulder and then cleared his throat and straightened himself.
For the time being, why don't we all just stay here in the lobby and get to know each other? That way we can keep track of everyone. And if anyone wants to leave the hall, one person at a time, please. No groups, no pairing off. How does that sound?
We looked at each other and nodded. I hope Starzan has something prepared to pass the time, considering everyone is stuck downstairs today. Maybe I can chat with them one by one. Could also go upstairs and get my book to read. Okay, so I'm gonna take the map and try to go upstairs because I know that something will happen. Do you want to go upstairs?
I'm gonna grab a book. It's a bit boring. It's just sitting here. Please wait a sec. I'm going to lock up the cellar.
Why?
Just locking it up in case someone decides to break out the good stuff. There's enough ale at the counter. Keep an eye on everyone while I'm away.
Starzan went down to the cellar. Okay, never mind. That's a different thing that happened last time. Let me find a place to sit down and talk with some people. Where should I sit? By the hearth. Let's just talk to everybody real quick.
That rabbit really is quite noisy. He and Cain have known each other for years. Methinks it's not unreasonable for him to be in such a state. Forgive me for saying this, but I'm not particularly comfortable being near him.
Why does it matter? Once the snow subsides tomorrow, we'll part ways and be strangers again.
Being God's children, we ought to treat each other with kindness.
And children should know better than to shout unless they want to be scolded.
As Anzox rose to get another drink, Heron touched Anzox's elbow with his empty mug.
Would you mind filling mine as well, dear boy?
Didn't take you for a drinker, father. Anzox balanced 2 mugs in one hand, his loot in the other as he headed towards the counter. Seriously, if performing doesn't work out, he'd do well as a waiter. Anzox filled the mugs and returned. Here you go, father.
God bless you, my child.
The red dragon shrugged and sat down. Let's talk to Anzox. Move next to Anzox. What do you want? Ooh, I forgot how many things to talk about.
It's been a while since I last saw Cain. Didn't expect something like this would.
Yeah. Anzox sighed softly and fell silent. A good drinking buddy, even though he never requested a song from me.
If he did, wouldn't he be just like that Bible verse?
Which one?
Give not that which is holy to the dogs, nor cast you your pearls before swine.
But still, he is much better than you as a drinker.
Peter's outburst sort of shocked me.
That's what small animals do.
Go into hysterics?
They tend to attach a great importance to kinship and friendship. Family and friends make it easier to survive in a harsh and unforgiving world.
Sensible.
I assume you also find relationships important? Wolves and their packs and all that?
But it's not my preference. I'd rather just relax in my room away from the people unless I'm on the job.
Sounds rather atypical for a detective.
Just because I enjoy watching people doesn't mean I enjoy participating. Will the snowstorm stop tomorrow?
What do I look like, a village witch? How should I know?
But I thought you just said...
That was me trying to raise spirits. Would you rather I say something like, oh no, the snow will keep falling and we'll all be trapped until the spring thaw? If I said something like that, I'd have my tongue cut out. So it's better to say something nice.
Thanks, by the way.
For what?
For the clue you found at the scene last night.
You're more than welcome. I'll be the first to arrive to help you investigate next time.
If you were the first to arrive at the scene, you'd be either the victim or the murderer.
Sure.
By the way, can I ask you something?
Why, certainly.
Did you happen to touch my nightstand?
What? Of course not. I'm not the kind of guy I was when we first met.
Never mind then. Nothing. It's warmer sitting by your side of the fire.
Naturally.
I looked at Heron. Pretty rough Christmas Eve.
Indeed. It's all a part of God's ineffable plan.
What?
If only we listened to God's words, none of these despicable acts would have happened.
Here we go again.
Surrounded by the goodness and kindness of God, you will become a noble person naturally.
People have done far more despicable things for what others would call noble purposes.
Snow keeps falling down. Also part of the ineffable plan.
Unlike the flood that washes all sins away, no matter how heavy the snow is, it can only cover sin. I'm getting more and more confused. So what? All the sins and wrath are buried deep down under the heavy snow, but the snow will eventually melt. No matter how deep sins are buried, they shall be revealed by the light of the sun. Anyway, thank you for giving Kane and Sean last rites yesterday. Letting the deceased embark on the journey to heaven with dignity is what I ought to do. There is no need to thank me. Is that so? By the way, may I ask you something? What? Did Sean commit suicide? I have no reason to tell you the truth. Of course not. Hope it doesn't know I bite my thumb when I'm nervous. Is that so? I suppose I have no reason to doubt your credibility. Right. His priestly smile made me inexplicably uncomfortable. After all, you don't seem to do something as despicable as lie to a friar out of a noble cause. Before Heron could continue, I moved seats. Sat down beside Thrivey.
Can I help you?
I just wanted to thank you.
For the autopsy, there's really no need. I believe any qualified doctor would do the same if it meant keeping others safe and sane. Although my judgment may not be as good as a professional coroner's, I do try my best. If there's anything unsatisfactory with my work, please do tell me, Mr. Detective. I'll try my best to correct it.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Dr. Thrivey, but let's hope we don't need such a cooperation in the future.
Pardon my enthusiasm, then.
Is being a doctor difficult?
Why are you asking this all of a sudden, Mr. Detective?
I don't think being a doctor's hard work. That medicine chest of yours is rather heavy. Must be tough to travel with that.
Sort of. The Karnak district has dysentery outbreak recently. I went through 3 bottles of castor oil with my patients.
Castor oil? I thought last year it was clove oil that worked on dysentery.
Medical science, such as it is constantly improving. If you happen to fall ill sometime, I'll be glad to have you as my patient.
I'm just curious, but what exactly was that weird-looking book you had last night? The cover had a bunch of symbols that were completely incomprehensible to me.
Unsurprising, the book is written with a cipher to prevent others from accessing its knowledge.
Maybe I shouldn't have asked.
It's quite alright. Many ask that kind of question. I'm used to it.
May I ask you something?
Something. Please, Mr. Detective.
Have you seen anyone rummaging through my nightstand?
No. I hope you're not suspecting me. It's not good to suspect a colleague, even if the partnership is temporary.
It's fine.
Well then, a toast to your health, Mr. Detective.
Thrivey raised his mug and shook it in the air, then took a sip. Sat by the table. Peter was face down on the table, his mug close to hand. His back occasionally twitched like he was sobbing. Ionis was gently patting him on the back. At least, gently by his standards. Elegant sat by them with a full cup in her hand. I wonder if it's the same cup from yesterday. There. It's okay.
It's not okay.
If Kane was here, he wouldn't want to see you cry. Don't try to tell me what Kane would want. I looked to Ionis, who was patting Peter's back. I still can't believe what happened with Kane. Yeah, I'm still expecting him to come downstairs and chat with me over a cup of ale. Like that damn seasickness cure he came up with a while back that never worked. Or some amulets he'd been collecting for some weird shop or something. Well, seasickness. I'm just glad you're keeping Peter calm. I don't know how long he'd have kept going. Rabbits are like that. It ain't impossible to scare one to death. Hey, Ionis, did you poke around inside my nightstand? What are you talking? Do I look like a petty thief to you? Yeah, you're right. Never mind. Yeah, you also may want to pat him more lightly. Like this? I think you can figure it out. I stroked Peter's head gently. What kind of person was Kane like? Then Peter lowered his head. Any idea how long the snow will keep falling? I hope so. Peter pushed my hand aside and laid it on the table.
Any idea when it'll stop falling? I hope so. That's not an answer to that question.
Peter? Hey? I know Kane's incident is a great shock for you, but to be honest, I'm just as shocked and confused. Uh-huh. But since we don't know how long it'll be until the snow stops, you should probably try and calm down and keep your head for the time being. I'll try. I'd better not bother him. When I looked at Elegant, she made eye contact and nodded. What was it that you wanted to say before the incident last night? I didn't get the chance to ask. I forgot. So, as it was interrupted, maybe it was something that should not be uttered at all. My curiosity will be the death of me. You are not a cat. I'm still curious about the reason why you came here. I thought you had already figured it out. Is it a good time to tell me? I came here for an investigation. Why else would I be here? Perhaps the carrots do. Well, at least you didn't cover it. At least you didn't cover it either way. By the way, have you ever touched my nightstand? What do you think? You have. And do you think that's true? I broke eye contact with her. Where should I sit? I walked to the counter. Your performance yesterday was splendid indeed, Mr. Roman. Thanks for the compliment. Mon Dieu, I should be the one to say that. Were it not for you, Monsieur Detective, that fiendish goat would have succeeded in flaming me. May that goat rot in the pit with traitors and murderers. Nevertheless, Sean has... No, do not even speak that name before me again. As you wish, my dear. Solar turned away from Looney, her ears flat, tail lashing in anger. You needn't be so angry, Marquis Harlock. Once the snow stops, I'm sure you'll have more than enough time to make it to His Majesty's Christmas feast. Bah, it is already too late. It's Christmas today. I am sure to miss the feast if the snow doesn't stop by noon. Also, there's a matter of my carriage. Oh, la malchance, oh, le malheur. I'm sure this is merely a temporary setback for you, Marquis. Looney rolled his eyes aside heavily. Do not try to flatter me, merchant. I sat beside Vincel. What brings you to me, my good detective? I assume it's quite a long trip from your home to Rimph, right? Certainly. I haven't traveled this far from Mallet Town in years. Is it your second time here? Not really. Vincel paused a bit and continued fiddling with his gloves. It's my first time visiting the capital. I guess telling you to have a pleasant trip would be in poor taste. Oh no, not at all. His gloves were already on his hands properly, but he kept fiddling with the edges. Didn't you say before you might hire me for a case? Indeed, my good detective. Anything you want to share about that, so I'll have time to prepare? It's just investigating a trivial matter. Easy as it sounds, no need to over-prepare. Alright. Mysterious. Spice business must be making money lately, given the price of pepper in the city just tripled. The same goes for cinnamon and cloves. Even the price of basil has gone up a lot. I know it's the holidays, but surely it can't be that expensive. It's because spice shipments haven't arrived at port yet. Merchants are still consuming their inventories while waiting for that cargo. Naturally, the price goes up as supplies dwindle. Those gloves of yours look very stylish. Vincel stretched his bow tie and put it together. Great minds think alike. I always prefer thick gloves, especially those thick enough to retain their shape while empty. Ah, of course. I raised my mug and heated too. To Christmas. To snow. Our mugs clicked, and I could smell the aroma of pale ale mixed with fresh basil in his cup as his drink sloshed. I sat down beside Lunique. He didn't seem to notice me. Such terrible weather. When will the snow even stop? I think it could still go for some time. C'est mauvais. I knew we should have left earlier. If only I knew about this awful snow, I'll be a laughingstock if I miss the King's Christmas banquet. Now that I think of it, how are my carriage horses? Are they seen too? I'm not quite sure about that part. Have you been to the King's Christmas banquet before, my lord? I'm curious about what they serve.
Ah, an excellent topic.
Looney cleared his throat, then narrated with enthusiasm while drinking his mulled wine.
If I beckoned just so, my sommelier, each person would be assigned one from the royal staff would come over and fill the goblet with wine. The wine was magnifique. At each banquet, there would be at least one intemperate guest who, greedy for the fine wine, would fall unconscious before the end of the feast. If you had tasted the treasures of the king's cellar, you would fully comprehend why they risk showing such rudeness before His Majesty, doing to their heart's content. Even just speaking of such divine nectar, I've become more and more aware of the wine in this tavern is...
I tilted my head towards Sarzen just to warn him.
Sabian, especially compared to some lesser establishments.
By the way, if there are other disputed cases in the future, feel free to send for me.
Absolutely. Should I encounter such a case again. Both your performance last night and last time impressed me. Especially when you dared the criminal to strike at you with the armor under your coat. Your bravery is remarkable as a detective.
Are you getting used to your room, Marquis?
Pardon? Well, the room, though unfashionable, is clean and the bed is comfortable. But the most serious problem is that my servant was involved in that awful event. Now I have nobody to serve me.
If that's his only takeaway from this, then I don't know what to say. I didn't utter a word, and he didn't seem to notice me at all. Solar was sitting next to Lunique, so I felt uneasy about talking to her. It'd be better if Solar's alone. Where should I sit? I don't want to sit anymore. Let's go to the kitchen. Oh, never mind. Sergeant came out of the cellar, glanced at the counter, and scratched his head in confusion.
That's weird.
What is?
I remember leaving my keychain on the counter, but now I can't find it. Maybe you put it somewhere else? Maybe. I'll keep looking. Okay, I'm gonna go upstairs.
Wait. Sergeant pointed at the stairs. I turned around and saw Thrivey on the stair.
I'm just gonna go grab a book and come down again. I won't take too long.
He scrambled up the stairs 2 steps at a time. Honestly, that surprised me given his size.
Probably best to wait.
I just hope nothing else happens.
I don't think there will be much trouble. Only one person can be alone at a time, and I doubt anyone's in the mood to die.
And that's all well and good, but
it's better for everyone if you stop there.
Don't take what Peter said too seriously.
Of course, I work in a tavern. I've been called worse things than that.
I was going to try to comfort you, but I guess you don't need it.
I wouldn't object to a little comfort.
Huh?
I'm just trying to satisfy your wish to comfort others. After all, it's my job to please my customers. Not in that way, though.
So, what do we do today?
Well, I could set up the darts board and see if anyone's game.
Sure, give emotionally compromised people sharp objects.
I'll be watching. Nothing will happen.
I could think of a few things that could.
Would you stop that?
Hold on, I just remembered something.
Spit it out.
Why aren't you feeding the Marquis' horses?
I told Aeonis to bring the horses back last night, but he said they died, froze to death, so I had them drag them into the yard this morning.
Why bother with that?
Can't let good meat go to waste.
Can't say I'm looking forward to a pleasant meal of horse meat. Can I go upstairs yet? There you go. Thrivey trotted down the stairs and took his book under his arm.
Could you do me a favor, Mr. Detective?
What is it?
I'm having a great deal of trouble with the ladder upstairs. Could you...
Want me to pull it up into the attic? The white dragon looked aside and nodded.
If you would be so kind.
I grabbed the rope and slowly lifted the ladder into the attic. The ladder is heavy, even for me. No wonder Thrivey had so much trouble with it. The ladder reached the attic. I tied the rope onto the wooden handle on the corridor wall and went downstairs. Sergeant took the dartboard from under the counter.
Since everyone seems a bit bored, I recommend playing a game of darts to pass time. I'm only offering the dartboard and darts. Any bets you want to place are up to you.
Yeah!
Anzox bounced up from his seat with an eager grin. I guess the idea of possible loot or a sense of challenge had kindled some long-lost instincts from his ancient dragon ancestors.
I'm not going to participate. I will watch first.
I shall watch.
It is tempting. Well, I'll watch as well.
Fine by me, but I'm going to check my luggage upstairs so I can leave immediately once the snow stops.
Before anyone could interrupt, Vincel put down his cup and walked upstairs. Why was he so desperate to leave?
I think I'll just watch.
Oh, no you don't. You're gonna play too.
Ionis pinched Peter's ear and pulled him out of his seat.
I suppose I can join and see what happens.
Well, that makes 7 participants: Anzox, Thrivey, Vincel, Ionis, Elegant, and Peter. Oh, and myself too. What about you, Roman? It's just a practice round, no bets. Of course I'm in. Frankly speaking, I practiced for it. So that makes 8.
What are we waiting for when everyone's here? Let's get started.
I'm ready too.
Sorry for the wait, everyone.
Oh yeah, this art. Thrivey is way too tall here. Thrivey is not supposed to be this tall. And also comparatively, Sargent is too short compared to Elegant. These 3 should be the tallest characters, and Thrivey should be like almost waist height to Ionis. Anyway.
It doesn't matter, you come at just the right time.
Sargent lifted up the dartboard and hung it on the wall behind the counter. With its peeling black paint and riddled with hundreds of dart holes, the dartboard looked as old as this tavern. Took 3 darts from the groove behind the board and put them on the table.
3 darts only. Throw them in turns. I won't give you any more in case you toss them around. Also, this should be obvious, but don't stick them in the table.
Well, no, that was just tempting fate. Anzox walked in front of the table first.
Stand just behind this brick.
Yeah, ready, fire.
220, 141 in total.
What's wrong with that last dart?
I expected you to be an expert, seeing as you were so active. Next.
Why is it so high up?
Doubled 19, triple 3, and 3. 50 points.
Wow, a bit of a fluke if you ask me.
Congratulations. Next. I've not played darts in a long time, so please forgive my humble showing.
Vincel took the darts in his left hand and took aim.
520, tripled 1, 28 in total. Sure enough. Oh well.
Next.
I'm ready.
Tripled 5, half bullseye 20, 60 in total.
Just so.
Next.
Should I hold it like this? Almost. Be careful and don't throw them at the wall. And especially don't throw it at the pictures or else.
Or else.
60 points in total with 2 misses. What sort of beginner's luck is this? Next.
If I may.
20, triple 20, miss. 80 in total.
Seems luck favors me well.
Did she expose herself or not?
It's my turn. Roman, mind tracking my score?
120, bullseye 50. 71 in total.
That's to be expected.
It's your turn. Move your paws to throw the dart. Up. I want that 60. No. Oh god, that's triple 5.
15.
Oh god. This way, please. Whoa, jeez. Oh, come on.
3.
Oh my god, this is so hard.
20. 38 points in total. It'd be more promising for you to play loot with Anzox. This is just the warm-up. Next one will be the real thing. But first, let me find my keychain.
That one?
Thrivey pointed at the keychain on the counter.
Ah, that's it. Where the hell did it go before?
Peter pulled me aside.
Roman, could I ask you to do me a favor?
What is it?
I just want to send a letter to Hella. Could you help me write it, please?
Hella, that little hair you had your eye on?
Yes, that's her.
Do you know if she can read?
She can ask someone else to read it for her.
Okay then, just tell me what you want to say and I'll write it out.
Really? Thank you so much.
Suddenly I recalled that we could only leave the lobby alone today. Could we do this some other time, though? We're not supposed to leave the hall together.
Okay, I suppose it can wait.
The next round will begin shortly. Get ready.
Yes, I'm coming.
Peter rubbed his hands and walked to the counter. After a few rounds, Vincel lost all of his 45 cent wager, though it wasn't a big amount for him. He looked mournful as he walked back to the counter. Ionis turned the tables in the latter rounds and even won a little. Elegant pretended to be a novice and finally managed to only lose a small sum of money. Anzox and Sargent were in first and second place. Figured that Sargent was going to win the whole pot with his techniques, but Anzox got an unexpected triple 60 and won. Seems luck didn't bless the two rookies, as Peter and Thrivey tried hard but could only break even. I was not in a good mood, so I lost more than Elegant did. Sargent was absent for a few of the later rounds because he was busy preparing Christmas dinner in the kitchen.
I can't manage this by myself. Is there anyone who can give me a hand? It'd be better if Kane had been there.
I'll do it.
Peter followed Sargent to the kitchen. According to custom, there's no lunch for Christmas Day. The poor can save a meal, while the rich can ready their stomachs and prepare for a huge dinner. One of the few customs everyone could partake in. Mom would have made me help Auntie with dinner. Well, who would resist a second chance opportunity like that? No wonder it's only available when I go home. I don't know why. Originally I didn't want to go home, but now I feel a bit homesick. Everyone was resting at the table, and the few who were awake did not seem to be in a talkative mood. Anzox was playing the lute. What should I do now? Let's chat with Anzox. I started walking to the corner where Anzox was in. The lute was gently pressed against his body as he plucked the strings softly and hummed with the tune.
That song sounds a little familiar. What is it?
'Tis an old lullaby, so it's not strange that you think it's familiar.
Anzox continued to hum, and I sat nearby to listen. The others in the pub seemed to sleep soundly, although I don't know why, I just can't relax. Probably because of Anzox. It seems like the type to start playing fast-paced dance music the second everyone starts nodding off. Think you could play something a little bit more Christmassy?
I'll do that after dinner. I'll be in a better mood once I have a full stomach.
The smell of mutton gradually wafted in from the kitchen. Anzox and I couldn't help turning our heads.
Christmas dinner is almost ready. Could you guys help bring the tables together?
Okay.
I'll start serving dinner when everyone is here.
Me, Heron, and Ionis started moving the round tables, placing the long tabletop on top, and laying out the red and green striped tablecloths. It was getting dark and everyone gathered at the table.
Merry Christmas!
Let's hope it will be.
Surely it will be.
Peter came out of the kitchen carrying a cauldron. Misty white steam floated out from the gap of the lid. The pot was so large that I could only see the tops of Peter's ears behind it. Peter stumbled near the long table and slammed the pot into the table, splashing some gravy. I have to admit that's one advantage to having such a small figure. Even Peter was a bit clumsy with the dishes. Even if Peter was a bit clumsy with the dishes, no one would complain. If a big guy like Ionis slammed down a pot like that, people would think he wanted to fight.
Oh, so sorry.
Well, next time you need to carry a big pot of stuff, let me know. I'll do it. Heron accidentally dropped the serving spoon on the floor and asked Anzox, who was near the kitchen, to help him get another one. Sargent also came with 2 large plates of grilled meat and baked apples.
There are still apples in this season.
If stored properly, you can eat them all year round, although this plate is my last stock.
As soon as Sargent had set the last few dishes down, everyone started to reach out.
Wait a moment.
Hey?
Ionis' hands hung in the air, his eyes looking a bit vicious.
Given that it is Christmas, I think we should pray before eating, to thank the God who gives us food.
Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt.
Mon Dieu, someone mentioned this before Father Heron.
Wait, I don't have my rosary.
I might need to go upstairs to get it. Heron stood up strenuously, preparing to squeeze around half the table to get to the stairs.
Relax, I'll go fetch it. The quicker it's done, the quicker we eat.
Wait, his door's still locked.
Anzox did not seem to hear and strolled upstairs with his lute.
That red-skilled bard better hurry up.
There was a muffled sound from upstairs.
What happened? Oh dear.
I should not have spoken.
Anzox must have tripped or something, alright? The carpet on the second floor is thick, so he's probably fine. Take it easy. Sergeant quickly left the table and headed upstairs. I also ran up to follow. The closer to the stairs I got, the more the smell of stew and spices in the tavern became mixed with a familiar, wet, coppery smell. It smells like it was more than just a fall. I ran up the steps quickly, taking them 2 at a time and clutching the handrail as I rushed up along the inside of the spiral staircase. It was Anzox. He was lying on the carpet, motionless. The wooden ladder leading to the attic had fallen. It had struck him on the head. Bright red blood spread across Anzox's darker crimson scales and leaking into the thick carpet. The heavy wooden ladder was still pressed against his head, like a boot pressing down on top of a melon. The hemp rope, which had originally tied the ladder to a wooden handle, swung like a pendulum in the air. Sergeant stood there, stunned for a moment before he rushed forward to pull the twine. Anzox! The ladder slid up into the loft along the guide rails, making a sharp friction noise. Thrivey squeezed past me and crouched beside Anzox. Wait, don't disturb the scene.
He's still alive!
What? Still alive? His head is covered in blood.
Being covered in blood doesn't equal death.
Thrivey pulled out a white handkerchief from his pocket and pressed it against Anzox's head. The fabric slowly turned red from the wound, spreading across it like spilled wine on a tablecloth. How can you... Thrivey grabbed Anzox's tail and knuckled down firmly against the ventral side. The flaccid tail curled up at once and did not slacken again until the hand was released.
You see, he's still alive. If we can stop the bleeding, get him into bed, and apply a poultice, he should recover.
You were really calm about this. Not to interrupt, but this ladder isn't exactly light. Could you...
Lunique grabbed Anzox's armpits.
Thrivey supported his head and I lifted Anzox's legs. Then we lifted him aside together. Once we were out of the way, Sergeant loosened his grip and let the ladder fall back down.
Anzox will not wake up for a while. Carry him upstairs and put him in his bed.
When I count to 3, we lift him together upstairs. 1, 2, 3. Lunique and I carried Anzox's limp body up to the attic. Why do unconscious ones feel heavier than usual?
Over to the bed now. Alright, just leave him to me. Do something else and stay out of my way.
Thrivey sat on the edge of the bed, pulling bottles and tins from his medicine box. What's the situation?
I don't know. It'll be some time before he regains consciousness.
I'm just relieved you can take care of him. I climbed down the wooden ladder.
Is that foolish bard alright?
Well, he's not going to die.
Good. Well then, let's begin searching.
What?
Do you assume Anzox's injury was an accident?
Isn't it just because the handle I used to secure the rope broke?
Perhaps.
Elegant shrugged. We were all downstairs at the time of Anzox's accident, so surely it was just an accident. But it fell off somehow. As much as I prefer to go back and eat, I'm already hungry enough to inspire my predatory instincts. We should try and finish dinner first. In weather like this, stew gets cold quickly. And I haven't eaten anything today.
How could you eat with such a problem stuck in your throat?
Forget it. Let's finish this quick. I've heard of a foreign general who had no time to drink after pouring a glass of warm wine, then went into battle with the enemy general. When he returned victorious, the wine was still warm. Then, let me do a simple survey to find what the reason is. I took the keychain from Sergeant and straightened my collar. But the crime scene has been...
It's fine. I've seen it all, and I can rebuild it.
Should I drag Anzox back down the ladder?
If you must do this to solve the case.
I'll do it instead. Isn't it a bit too cruel to let Anzox go back there? Thanks for your hard work.
I will pull up the ladder a little so you may slowly climb under the ladder and not hurt yourself.
Here?
Left, up, yes. Go somewhere else to search. I have not finished yet.
Elegant squatted down and grabbed Sergeant's horns to position him. Hey, easy there.
My key is locked inside my room.
The keychain is pinned against my waist. Take it yourself and return it afterwards.
Oh, okay. Wait, the door is open again.
That wasn't Heron's voice, but...
Wait, so there's no one else left. Can I go to the attic? It's letting me go to the attic, okay. Let's talk to Thrivey. What do you think happened this time?
I'm not familiar with Anzox, but I'm not surprised someone finds him to be annoying based on how he behaves while we share this room.
Why?
He plays his lute at night while he's in bed. While I understand the nobles will hire musicians to play music while they sleep, I don't think that's quite my preference.
Okay. About Anzox. What can you tell me about Anzox's injuries?
His scales partially deflected the blow, so the actual wound isn't deep. Still bled heavily though, and it's still a head injury.
When do you think he'll wake up?
Best case scenario, a few days. That's assuming there isn't significant trauma to the brain or internal bleeding.
I'd be lucky to wake up at all if that thing hit me.
If it weren't for his scales, or if it had struck him on his neck, he likely wouldn't survive.
I'm pretty sure the last place anyone unconscious would want to be is here. That's unsettling. That's all I need. Talk to Anzox. Can I say something to him? Yeah, okay. I bent down to gaze at Anzox. He was lying on the bed, his head wrapped within a white cloth with an uninjured side down. By the way, is it possible for dragons to lie flat on their back, or were their horns pierced through the pillow or something? I'm not gonna... Thrivey's guarding Anzox like a watchdog, so I better not disturb him. Or maybe like a dragon with his horde? No, that's just a bit rude. Here's the book. Thrivey's book. There's a blurred dragon and weird sigil scrawled on the cover. Check his bag. Thrivey's medicine box, heavy. Sergeant's keys. The keys would be here if there are any unoccupied rooms. Sergeant only has the cellar key, and it's not in the keychain. But only Sergeant has the cellar key, and it's not in the keychain. Okay, so that was a clue. A candle. Anzox's bed. He sleeps here most of the time. Now he's lying on it too. I wonder if, like... Oops, my bad. Ladder. It can be pulled up and down along the track by the rope. Okay. Oh, I needed that. That's good. Alright, so the corridor should be done now. Are you not done yet? Come on. Oh, I can still search it. Blood on the floor. Sergeant's just lying on top of the blood, I guess. Ladder's now on Sergeant's head, with Anzox's blood soaking it. A ladder like this could knock even Anzox into a coma. Sergeant's muscular back. When he isn't so busy, he would untie the belt on his wings and flap his wings. That's the reason his wings are so strong. Interesting. I searched everywhere else. Time to focus on the crime scene from now on. For now on. Yeah, okay. Talk to Elegant. Sergeant, can you move over? Okay, never mind. She's saying the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to search the thingy where the rope was tied. Wooden handle. A rope is usually wrapped around it, but now it's been broken, leaving only the base on the wall. The wooden handle looks like it bent and then broke. The color is very new. Interesting. The cross-section of the wooden handle has many sharp wooden splinters, and it seems that several of them broke. Okay. Guess search the rope itself. Wooden handle is now broken. Most of the remains of the wooden handle were tangled in the rope and swayed in the air. Wooden handle looks like it bent and then broke. The color is very new. Cross-section of the wooden handle has many sharp wooden splinters, and it seems that several of them broke. That's it, I guess. You alright? Is the ladder too heavy for you? No, just finish this quickly. Anzox's wound is on the back of his head. Won't do this on Sarzan though. I took some notes here. Okay, she did her little quote-unquote autopsy. We reconstructed the crime with Sergeant playing the part of Anzox. Anzox laid flat in the hallway, head towards the end of the corridor, unconscious from a head injury. There's a blunt injury to the head, no other external injuries. So it really is all in the rope, isn't it? It still wants me to search the crime scene? Oh, I can sniff now. Okay. I don't like the sniff sound. I took a deep breath trying to sniff out the murder. Although it doesn't work all the time, it does save me a lot of trouble. Scent of blood is too strong. I can't connect the scents with these people. Might as well pay more attention to the scents. Okay. I closed my eyes and breathed in and out through my nose. Okay, okay, yes, this is... Whoa, what is this? What is this? Different races and different things smell different. When they interact with each other, they leave their unique scent on each other. If I close my eyes and sniff carefully, I can locate the position of every odor and restore them to the scene. The more similar interaction methods, places, times are, the more similar the scent is. Okay. Ladder smells of blood. Smells like sweat and silver. What does that mean? Scent grows thicker at the bottom. Smells like something at the crime scene. Okay, so the ladder smells like the rosary, which is interesting. Handle's cracked end. Anzox and the murderer both touched it. The smell makes me nervous. No special scents on that rope. Handle's cracked end. Anzox touched it. Sergeant lies here with a totally different scent. It's hard enough to simulate position, but way too hard to simulate the scent. Luckily, Anzox's scent still lingers. What smells like the rosary? The ladder. The ladder smells just like the rosary. This usually means they have contacted a lot. But why? That should do it. The evidence I have is enough. Time to find out the truth. Okay. So why has the rosary come in contact with the ladder? After a thorough search, I asked everyone to come to the attic for trial. To the attic? If Anzox wakes up during the process, maybe I can solve the case more quickly. I doubt it. He's probably has a... I mean, if he has a concussion and he's asleep, that might be dangerous, but we'll see. Okay. Let's see. This time Anzox won't jump in with a strange theory to influence my conclusions when I have no idea. Although that was only one of my wishes, I didn't want it to happen this way at all. I sat on the edge of Anzox's bed, waiting for everyone to gather in the attic. Elegant climbed up lightly, so light that I didn't even notice her. This place may become problematic if we try to fit everyone up here. Yeah, I'm not sure why we're going up here. Let Anzox listen to the process, although I don't know if he can hear it. It would be fortuitous if he woke up at an opportune moment. Ionis's footsteps thumped heavily on the ladder. Can't we just discuss it in the hall? Maybe we can talk while eating? I don't think you can focus on the case while smelling the stew. Everyone came upstairs to the attic, which made the already small room become even more crowded. The wooden floor underneath our feet seemed to settle a little, and a sharp frictional creaking, that's not how you spell creaking, was produced when anyone moved. I started to think it was a bad idea to put 11 people up in the attic. Peter sat next to Sergeant and bowed his head without saying a word, as if her was trying to curl up beside him. As if he was trying to curl up beside him. Okay. Lunique took Solar's hands and looked at me. Just like before, let's try to keep things as simple, as clear as possible, no overcomplicating things. If it really was just an accident, there's no need to assume there's a murderer among us. So was Anzox's injury an accident, or was it deliberately set up? Trial start. Is it possible he was unable to operate the ladder and accidentally broke the handle?
Impossible.
Why are you so sure?
He sleeps in the attic every time he comes here. Nothing ever happened to him when he went up or down. It's quite impossible for him to make such a mistake.
Well, you have known him for quite a long time, after all. I'll add it to my notes. But who would want to kill Anzox? I don't remember if he got any enemies. Besides, most of us here have only known him for merely a day. Is that all someone needs to kill? Let's put motive aside. I can't figure it out either. Is that so? I want to find out I want to find out those who was able to commit this crime first. Those who were able to commit this crime first. Is it possible that the handle was stressed already and it was just about to break anyway? If so, Anzox is just unlucky enough to trigger it?
Impossible.
Why?
The handle is strong enough to bear the weight of the ladder.
That's right, I have investigated this handle thoroughly. Why was the handle not likely to break soon? Rope tangled on the handle. Rope pulls up the ladder. The wooden handle was bent down. There are no colored deposition on the splinter. That's okay. The splinter was blunt. I'm gonna say this, though I don't know if that's the way that I would write it out. But the colors were clean. Like, it didn't look worn. Sergeant is right. If the load was too great, then the handle would have shown damage before now. But the cracks on the handle are new, and there's no sign of age in this wood. So I don't think it was accidental.
Indeed it was, Roman.
By the way, I felt strange when I retrieved my rosary. It was neither in Anzox's hands nor pressed under him, but on his back.
Why didn't you tell me something that important earlier?
I just remembered it.
In short, it seems like there are a lot of details that cannot be explained right now. Let's rule out whoever couldn't have tampered with the ladder. The first people we can exclude are... Who can be excluded? The people who were downstairs all day. Those stayed downstairs today. Anyone who hasn't been upstairs today. So the main suspects now are Thrivey, Vincel, and myself. First, let's ask them one by one.
How do you ask yourself?
I'll just confess when it's my turn.
Very well. You first. You first, please.
We'll go in order. Thrivey, what were you doing when the accident happened?
I was...
Thrivey gestured with both hands in the air.
Waiting for Heron to finish praying.
Huh? Didn't everyone do this at the time of the incident? What did you do upstairs this morning?
Let me think.
I went upstairs to the attic to get the book on my bedside. When I went downstairs, I tried to pull the ladder up, but failed. Wait, why was the book already on your shelf when we... Okay, whatever. When I went downstairs, I tried to pull the ladder up, but failed. So I went downstairs to call Roman for help. Damn, that makes me suspicious. I need to do something to direct the suspicion to the real murder. Okay. I'm curious about why he failed how he failed to pull up the ladder when he so easily carries his giant luggage. Why'd you fail to put away the ladder? You do realize that ladder weighs more than I do, right? Which point to ask? Oh, how can I was how he said that. Bedside book. The book on the bed? The one with the cover you can't read.
Although I think it has nothing to do with the case.
Which point to ask? Ask Roman for help. Why'd you call me to help lift the ladder at the time?
I happened to meet you on the way down.
In other words, you happened to meet someone else, you would have asked them to help you?
That's correct.
Okay, stop interrogation. Please add what you just mentioned to your testimony, and repeat it.
I went upstairs to the attic to get the book by my bedside, the thick one. It was so light that I couldn't move it.
Wait, what?
It was so light that I couldn't move it.
What? Hold on, huh? I went upstairs to the attic to get the book on my bedside, the thick one. It was so light that I couldn't move it. I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw Roman at the entrance of the stairs when I went downstairs and then asked him to help.
So he just happened to meet me. I think it was the opposite. It was the ladder was so heavy that he couldn't move it, but it didn't add any any context. So he just happened to meet me, and I didn't know in advance that I had a chance to... Are you sure? Oh no. Oh, it's against me now.
Why were you standing at the staircase if you didn't want to go upstairs?
I didn't intend to go up, but I didn't intend to break the ladder. On the contrary, I can prove that I had no chance to tamper with the ladder. What is the reason I couldn't have sabotaged the ladder? I didn't have time. Yeah, I went upstairs, tied the ladder, and immediately went back downstairs. It was like 5 seconds. I stayed upstairs for a while, which meant I didn't have enough time to sabotage the ladder. That's not the way they wanted to write that, but for a little bit, they wrote a while, which it means a longer time.
If I remember correctly, Thrivey and Vincel stayed upstairs for only a short time. This point is not convincing. Master Vincel, would you care to testify?
Vincel tightened his gloves and adjusted his tie. Of course. I didn't stay long upstairs, so I had no chance to do anything to the ladder. I didn't even notice the ladder. Come to think about it, if I had observed the ladder at the time carefully, I might have found a trace left by Mr. Detective. Please don't speculate while you testify. Besides... Oh, that's not your voice at all. What am I doing?
Besides, Anzox and I don't know each other. Why would I harm him? And it was not I who asked for the rosary.
Something smells fishy. Maybe I'll press harder for further information. What to ask? The rosary. Why did you just mention the rosary?
Was that strange? This whole mess happened because Heron was going upstairs to get the rosary.
Don't know each other. You and Anzox really haven't met each other before?
Why would I lie? The taverns I frequent aren't quite as low.
Vincel glanced at the annoyed sergeant who beside him and shut his mouth. A wild guess. You implied that I am the murderer. What do you want to do? What?
Don't target me because of this, Mr. Detective. Avenging personal wrongs in the name of public interest is a violation of the law.
You didn't notice the ladder. You didn't notice the ladder? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not something that he would say.
Yes, the ladder was not on the corridor like it is now. How could I notice it?
Short time upstairs. How long did you stay upstairs?
Probably from the time throwing darts was proposed to the time the dart game was ready to start.
Okay. Add what you mentioned to your testimony.
Absolutely.
Please testify again. Okay.
I was upstairs from the time the dart game was proposed to the darts were ready. So I didn't have much time to fiddle with the ladder. The ladder was stored in the attic, and I didn't notice it at all. Come to think of it, if I observed the ladder carefully, I might have found a trace.
Strike that last sentence.
I haven't met the Red Dragon before. Here he was just a brief acquaintance. I had no motivation to murder him. It was Heron who mentioned the rosary, and it was none of my business.
All the suspects have been questioned now. There seems to be nothing wrong. But after hearing their testimonies, I want to add another suspect.
Have we not confirmed that the rest have not gone upstairs? Unnecessary suspects should be ruled out.
Sean wasn't on the list at first yesterday, but eventually.
So, who are you talking about?
I would say... I do want to add Heron as well. I think it was Heron.
I think so.
As the owner of the rosary, do you have anything to explain?
Is there anything to explain?
For example, did you go upstairs during the day? Why was the rosary not with you? Why did you pray before meals today? And tell me anything you think was strange.
Okay. I have been downstairs all day, and I believe everyone can testify to that. I left my rosary in my room, so I had to go upstairs temporarily today.
Well, he did go upstairs.
What's wrong with praying before meals?
Speaking of something
strange, the door in my room was locked. Does that count?
So you did go upstairs. Wait, hold on. Did you go upstairs today even once?
Everyone saw me, of course not.
Didn't you just say that you went upstairs? This translation is messing with me. What should I ask? Rosary. Regarding the rosary, I would like to ask a question. What of the rosary? Why was the rosary on Anzox when the incident occurred?
How should I know?
Why did you pick it up?
I didn't think about it at the time. I thought it was my stuff.
What should I ask? Pray before meal? Why did you pray before the meal today? Seems strange.
I have prayed before every meal. Is that a problem?
Is that true? Okay. Door was locked. Why was your door Why was your door being locked is strange. Why was your door being locked is strange.
Don't you know? I never locked the door.
What?
I believe in God physically and mentally. I believe that God can protect me from all calamities.
So the door was unlocked when you left today.
Absolutely.
That was... let me write it down. Okay, stop inquiring. Please add what you mentioned in your testimony.
I shall.
Please testify again.
Haven't gone upstairs today, and everyone can testify to that. I left my rosary in my room.
I'm messing his voice with Thrive's.
I left my rosary in my room, so I had to go upstairs. As for how it got on Anzox, I have no idea. I prayed before every meal. It's common, though I didn't do so openly out of respect for Starzan. I didn't lock my door, but I found that my door was locked after the accident today. I really don't understand why.
There's something obviously wrong. What evidence contradicts Heron's testimony? First prayer before meal in these days. Yes. Wait. This is all wrong. Did you just say you pray before meals every day?
Yes, is there anything wrong with that?
But that was the first time since you got here that you prayed before a meal.
Therefore, maybe I remembered it wrong, but what does that have to do with the case?
Although I'm not sure whether this is related to the case, I hope you can recall why today suddenly you remembered praying before meals.
Very well.
Well, it's because Vincel suggested it.
Usually whenever there's a chance, I pray before meals. Past few days, to respect the sensibilities of the tavern's owner, I did not mention praying before meals. Today's Christmas, and I thought it made sense to have a short pre-meal prayer on this particular holiday. Besides, there were others who asked me to do so.
Okay. As for what? Others. Wait, did anyone else want you to do this? Yes, I was there. Vincel asked him.
Yes.
Why didn't you say so earlier?
How should I know? Is it important?
I was there. Of course, it's very likely whoever proposed it is a criminal.
That was not me. It was...
The hyena just wanted to make us believe that he initiated the prayer, but now he was stunned.
It was Vincel.
What? Wait a minute. Didn't you propose to pray before the meal? I'm trying to remember who said it. It was Vincel. You can't... It's not here. Well, here's the thing. Vincel... Vincel said the prayer before the meal was Heron's own proposal.
It wasn't me. That's what he said, so he'd be acquitted and frame me.
I turned to look at the links. Do you have anything to say, Vincel? I indeed reminded Heron to pray, but why do you think that means that I would murder someone? If I wanted to kill Anzox, why didn't I just let Anzox go upstairs and help me pick something up? Why would I bother to remind Heron to remember to pray before the meal? What if he went upstairs by himself? Impossible. Only one person could come upstairs, so he couldn't have helped you. Anyone who has been in the tavern these days will find out. You can use Heron to get to Anzox. Why? How can he use Heron to get Anzox into the trap? Where's... No. Heron has been ordering Anzox around these past 2 days. In the past 2 days, Heron has often called on Anzox and asked him to do things for him, like pouring him drinks and taking a spoon, so it was natural for him to get the rosary upstairs. Because the murderer took advantage of Anzox's tendency to help Heron and use it to set up a trigger for the trap. And who among us do you think is most familiar with traps, alibis, and crimes of these sorts? You, my good detective. And is it not true that the tomcat over there is also suspicious? Elegant flexed her paws quietly, her claw sliding out. Therefore, if the murderer used a trap to kill someone, I only assume Roman can do it. That's true, I do know these things because of my profession, but I'm sure everyone in this room, even Anzox, could come up with 1 or 2 simple traps like that. Only 3 things are needed to make the trap in this case. The wooden handle, the rosary, and the key to Heron's room. Let's start with the wooden handle. The wooden handle. Broken downwards, right? It was broken downwards? Wooden handle. Was Benjamin broken all recently without the... Okay, interesting. I don't remember if it was broken upwards or downwards. You didn't say that. I'm gonna say broken downwards. The handle was broken downwards. After breaking the handle, the suspect inserted the handle back into the slot. Is there any evidence to support your theory?
It's pure speculation.
It's not, because... what can we prove that the suspect inserted the handle back in? Rope tangled on the handle. Rope pulls up the ladder. The wooden handle was bent down. There are no color deposition on the splinter. The splinter was blunt. Well, the splinters weren't blunt, were they? I thought they were still sharp. The handle has many sharp splinters. Some of them are broken. Splinter was blunt, I guess, because the splinters were broken. After the suspect broke the handle, he inserted it back in the direction of the splinters and pressed it tightly. This way, the friction between the splinters would cause the handle to get stuck there. If he properly adjusted the handle, he's nervous tick. If he properly adjusted the handle, it would support the wooden ladder, but when someone wanted to lower the ladder and started to untie the rope, the handle would come loose and the ladder would fall unexpectedly from overhead. In the process of reinserting the handle back in and loosening it, it's inevitable to break a few splinters. So the suspect should have done just that. That sounds reasonable, but it still brings us no closer to identifying the suspect. Then there's the rosary. When we found Anzox, the rosary was on his back, and when he was knocked down by the ladder that suddenly fell, that shows that... Where was the rosary? The rosary was on the ladder, I think. That shows that the rosary was on the ladder. If Anzox saw what he was looking for on the ladder, it was natural for him to lower the ladder. Then the ladder fell on Anzox, and the rosary hanging on the ladder would fall on his back. But why did Anzox check the ladder? If he were looking for the rosary, he would definitely not look there. He would only find it in Heron's room. Because Heron's room was locked, and Anzox couldn't open the door, and when he turned to go downstairs and ask Heron for the key, he saw the rosary hanging from the ladder. He would naturally reach out to pull the twine wrapped around the handle, trying to lower the ladder to get to the rosary. That just triggered the trap set up by the criminal. Next is Heron's key. Thanks to Heron's testimony, we now know that his room is generally unlocked. His key was on the nightstand, and he hadn't moved it. According to Sargent, there are 2 keys to each room of the tavern. Then the second key was on the keychain that Sargent usually carries with him. By the way, it seems my keys disappeared for a while this morning. At first I thought I was confused, but now it seems that maybe the murderer took my keychain. When did you find out the keychain was missing? I put it on the counter and then went down the cellar. When I returned, it was gone. When did you rediscover it? After playing a round of darts, I found it on the counter. In this case, there is enough time for the murderer to bring the keychain upstairs, lock the door, then return. In other words, the killer should be someone who approached the counter while Sargent entered the cellar and went upstairs while the keychain was lost. When the key reappeared, the killer should also be near the counter. Quick Q&A. This was really fast. Okay. The weapon is the ladder. The weapon is a ladder. As Ox was hit by the ladder, the wound can support the assumption. Besides, the murderer could hardly perform this trick in front of everyone else. Modus operandi. Let's talk about how this happened. Oh no, this is my least favorite. I'm really bad at this. Okay. So, the suspect reminded Anzox to go upstairs. That's not what happened. Suspect broke the handle, then plugged it back in. This did happen at one point. Suspect reminded Heron... I'm going to put this in the center, and then put everything around it. Suspect reminded Heron about praying. This came after that, yes. Suspect took Sargent's keychain. This is before breaking the handle. Suspect put the rosary on the ladder. This is also before, that's before 4, so it'd be 4, 5. Suspect messed about with the rope. Not necessarily. Suspect took the rosary away. Suspect broke the handle and plugged it back in. Okay, so it'd be like this. Like this. 2 of the chips are in their position. Okay. Cool. Great. I said 4 first. Suspect took Sergeant's keychain. Yes, that is correct. 5. Suspect put the rosary on the ladder. That is correct. That might be... They might want to make me say he took the rosary from the guy's room, then put it on the ladder, then broke the handle and plugged it back in, and then reminded Heron about praying. This is a sequence of events. Yes, nice. I got it on the second try. Holy crap. The game like gave me the answer because I failed so much on the previous ones. Suspect. At least this round is fairly easy. I think the murderer is... I mean, he's not a murderer. He's an attempted murderer. But it is Vincel, and I don't know why. It's Vincel. Why are you always against me? I'm not taking it personally. I've got vital proof that you are the murderer. Why does she make this face? Oh my god, she looks like she's having a good time. What evidence do you have? I went upstairs right before you, and the handle was in perfectly good shape. Who else could it be? Motive. When it comes to motivation, can it be just like what happened between Sean and Kane? They knew each other before and separated because of conflict? I think it's impossible. Firstly, they rarely communicated today, and I don't think they would keep their countenance if they met before. Secondly, if Anzox owned Vincel's... If Anzox owned Vincel something, I think owed Vincel something, and Vincel wanted to murder him, Anzox should at least take precautions. In a nutshell, I think Vincel's real motivation is... his target was someone else. Maybe his target wasn't Anzox, but someone else. So obviously we can't find the motivation from Anzox. I overestimated our famous detective Roman. Wait, what are you talking about? My target is very, very definitive from the very beginning. It is Anzox. Wait, pardon? My only target is Anzox. I didn't expect that you would admit it so quickly. Vincel clenched his fists and let out an angry gurgle in his throat. Okay, I lose. It was me. It was me hurt Anzox. It was me who hurt Anzox. I have to admit that you were so gentlemanly when you plead you're guilty. Then would you like to tell us your motivation? If you've already confessed your crime. No, thank you. Okay, though I am curiosity, I guess we have to continue. Although the motivation is not clear at all, now that the Lynx has pleaded guilty, let's start summarize the case. In other words, case playback. Vincel has started to set up his trap in the morning. In the morning, Sarzen explained the situation to us and suggested that everyone try to stay together in the hall and only leave the room one at a time. While this would avoid incidents between 2 people, it also gave Vincel the chance he needed. Utilizing the rule that only one person could go upstairs at a time, he had enough time to set the trap without worrying about being caught. It was suspicious to let Anzox go upstairs to trigger the mechanism directly. Fortunately, Vincel knew that someone could order Anzox around, namely Heron. Vincel took something from the counter while Sarzen was busy in the cellar. That was the keychain, the tavern keychain. He took the keys that Sarzen had removed from his waist and left on the counter. Then, when he went upstairs to open the door, took the rosary from Heron's room and hung it on the ladder. Okay. But Vincel made a mistake. He didn't know that Heron never locked his door, so when he came out, he locked the door just like everyone else. He broke the handle of the ladder, inserted it back into place, and went downstairs. Until dinner, no one went upstairs to trigger the trap, and Vincel's plot was more than half successful. At dinner, once Vincel reminded Heron to pray before dinner, Heron asked Anzox to go upstairs. Well, he didn't. Anzox had, volunteered, but... Anzox went upstairs and found that the door was locked and looked around. Seeing the rosary hanging on the ladder, he naturally reached out to undo the twine around the handle. The rope came loose with the handle and the ladder fell down the guideway, hitting Anzox. This is your plot, Vincel, am I right? The lynx kept his eyes wide open and pulled the gloves back and forth. His sweat dripped down from the ends of the fur. All right, you win. So what do you intend to do with me? We will bring you to justice, of course. Sergeant picked up a length of twine, caught Vincel from behind, and tied his hands. Just hurting someone isn't a capital crime. Don't you know that? Shut up. Ow, not so hard. Be gentle with my wrists. You are no longer a guest now. You're a dangerous criminal who endangered the safety of my guests. Why should I treat you gently? Vincel glared at me, trying to get rid of the rope that bound his hands behind him. Untie me, you wretched son of a... Sergeant wrapped Vincel around his chest and hoisted him easily into the air. Vincel screamed silently, baring all his teeth as the breath whooshed out of his lungs. I just cleaned up the cellar this morning. Perfect place for a bastard like you to spend a Merry Christmas. Vincel stretched his neck and bent down, trying to sink his teeth into Sergeant's arm. Sergeant turned around and pressed Vincel's head aside. Don't force me to gag you. Vincel was still trying vainly to bite Sergeant when he reached out a pile of clutter and junk. Here, let me give you a hand. No, you don't want to touch it. Is that the smelly cleaning cloth in the kitchen? Sergeant grabbed something on top of the pile of clutter and stuffed it into Vincel's mouth. Vincel's eyes went wide and he began to shake his head, trying to spit it out. From its color and texture, it looked like Vincel had one of Sergeant's unwashed socks in his mouth. He's right. I don't want to touch that. I can smell it from here. Sergeant slung Vincel over his shoulder and walked past us. Solar covered her nose with a handkerchief. I started feeling sorry for Vincel. Having something like that in his mouth, unable to escape the smell, must be torturing him right now. The others left the attic after Sergeant and Vincel. I sat by Anzox's bed, clutching his unconscious tail in my hand. Something is wrong. What? I believe I took the physical examination part seriously. No, the motive. Motive? But he refused to explain his actions. That's a bit strange, but the thing is, he also admitted to committing the crime. What's in it for him if the murderer isn't him? Sure, some merchants would betray their own mothers if they stood to gain a profit, but I can't think of any compensation that can make Vincel plead guilty on Christmas. No, there is something that bothers me. I will think about it. Thrivey exhaled and relaxed. If there's nothing else to do in the attic, let's go downstairs. I've been waiting for that Christmas feast. Speaking of which... Mr. Detective? Are you okay? What just happened? You suddenly fell backwards. Fortunately, you were on the bed, otherwise it would have hurt. I'm fine. You must be starving. Can you still go downstairs? Go enjoy your stew. Maybe. I'll try. I slowly stood up with elegant support, dragging my weak legs down the stairs. The aroma of stew seemed to linger in the corridor, although I knew it was just pure imagination. Stew must be stone cold after such a long time. Even the tallow in the broth would form a creamy layer of fat on the surface. The scent seems to become stronger, but there was no sign of stew on the table.
You came at just the right time.
Sergeant bought a pot of steaming stew from the kitchen. The others weren't in the mood for stew and returned to their rooms after having bread and cold meat. I was worried that no one would eat my stew. Gimme. Just a second. Sergeant poured 2 bowls of stew and then ladled a large portion into my bowl, with almost all meat and surprisingly little broth. Actually,
have all you want. I can't finish this.
Actually, I prefer broth more. Thanks. I bowed my head and devoured my stew. After being warmed up, the meat was almost torn apart by the heat. The muscle fibers were slightly separated and the fibers on the outer edge were almost peeled off. The broth was also much thicker than usual, but I was too hungry to be picky. I just wanted to fill my stomach quickly. After 3 bowls of stew, I stopped eating. I licked my lips and looked around. Elegant was still slowly lapping at the broth with her tongue. The spoon on the table was left unused. Sergeant didn't seem to be very satisfied with his work. He ate half a bowl and put it down with a sigh.
Excuse me, I need to take some up to the two in the attic while it's still hot. Please enjoy yourselves. I also need to repair the ladder later.
Sergeant reached in his pocket and put a dagger into my hand.
Here, I found this on Vincel. Keep an eye on it.
Sergeant went upstairs with a bowl of stew in each hand. I began to wonder how he would climb up the ladder. You say you are on vacation, and yet you come across cases one after another. You are quite the workaholic.
Don't act like I'm enjoying this.
I think you...
Roman, let's talk.
What?
In private.
Giannis glanced at Elegant, who was still sitting next to me. Enjoy yourselves. I think I shall return to my room. Elegant walked upstairs, but I felt she would be eavesdropping upstairs.
I hate to do this, but could you pay me back some of the money I lent you?
What?
I didn't exactly plan to stay here this long. Now my money's running out.
Right. Still got some of my payment from the last case. Is 1 Rayar okay?
Maybe a little more. I know I usually don't push this hard, but
1.5. Take it or leave it.
alright. Can you break it down to 105 state for me?
Giannis took a large handful of copper coins from me and stuffed them into his pocket.
Really sorry asking you to pay me back in this situation.
It's okay. Everyone has difficulty sometimes. I waved my hand and went upstairs. I did not expect you to be so wealthy.
Are you trying to make a joke?
How should I know?
You really don't have any other clothes, do you?
If I did, would I be dressed like this? Elegant leaned on the handrail of the staircase and rolled her eyes. So, pick up any clues for your investigation here? Same as yours. Nothing. The opportunities for me to sneak away without being noticed are few, so I have yet the chance to search thoroughly. I wonder. Speak. Is there anything you can let me know? Well, I suspect one of the Noble brothers may still be alive.
Weren't they both killed?
They were just buried under the debris, although no one has heard of them after that. And if a noble above the rank of baron is found to be corrupt, the punishment is... If there was definitive proof, they would be deprived of all their titles, properties, and fortunes, and the crown would cut off the pinky of their right hand. The crown does not tolerate corruption among its nobles.
So there's a chance that they're still alive somewhere?
Indeed.
Is that relevant to your investigation?
Probably not, but I think it may be related to the identity of my client.
I thought you said that you don't care about anything except money.
That is true, but I do get curious from time to time.
You're weird.
Elegant shrugged and turned back to her room.
I should get some sleep.
Considering I just had 3 bowls of stew, I should sleep well. Took off my boots, crawled under the quilt, pulled the sheets up over my stomach, and tried to fall asleep. Whoa, you really brought some booze here. Of course I did. I don't care how fine that stuff is. Set it aside for now. After all, we have more important matters to tend to first. A drink first won't hurt. Well, if you insist. I can't tell if they're talking back and forth or if one person is... Cheers. Thought you would fail me. Do you really think I'm as weak as I look? I just thought I'm not good enough for you. Impossible. Come on, let me feel your temperature. Just my temperature? Don't you want to feel just more than that? All in due time, my darling. Whoa. Chapter 3, all goods and... I was reading that. Alright, well, with Chapter 3 starting, I'm going to end the stream here. Because it's no longer Christmas, which means it's no longer Christmas in the game. Oh well. Thank you for anyone who came to watch the stream. Close my eyes and lay flat on the bed. Oh, I'm still like... It's still Christmas. Hold on, let's continue. A series of rapid knocks echo through my door.